All right, we're going to begin our homework on subtracting expressions. Let's go ahead and begin. First, it says fill in the missing signs or numbers. Number one says write an equivalent expression to represent m minus 8 minus 3m. Well, we know that we're going to take this negative sign and treat it like it's a -1. And we're going to distribute the properties because everything that's outside of the parentheses gets multiplied to everything in it. A negative times 8 will give us a -8. And a negative times a -3, well, negative times a negative is a positive, so that would be a positive 3m. Next, we can group these together using commutative properties. That's m plus 3m, and then minus 8. M plus 3m is like 1 monkey plus 3 monkeys. That's going to be 4. And then that negative sign follows the 8. All right, and that's it. 4m minus 8 will be number 1. Number 2 says write an equivalent expression to -2 times 1.5h plus 5 minus 4 times -0.5 plus 3h. Well, a negative 2 down here is going to get multiplied to 1.5h, and it's also going to get multiplied to 5. Then we've got -4 over here, -4, and that's going to get multiplied to -0.5, and it's going to get multiplied to positive 3h. And now we start multiplying. Well, negative times a positive will give us a negative, so that's 2 times 1.5 would be a -3h. And then we have a -2 times 5, which will give us -10. Next, we have a -4. Let's not forget that negative sign over here. -4 times -0.5. Well, negative times a negative is a positive, and 4 times 0.5 will give us 2. And now we have -4 times positive 3h, which will give us a -12h. And now we can combine these together. Let's get the like terms. -3h, well, this does not have an h in it. This doesn't have an h, but this one does. These are our like terms. -3h minus 12h, that's like we're missing 3 horses, and then we're missing 12 more horses. That means we're missing minus 14 horses, right? And then a -10 plus 2 will give us a -8. All right, let's go to number 3. It says here a bag of mixed nuts contains almonds and hazelnuts. So there are 6x plus 13 nuts in a particular bag, and 3x minus 7 of these are hazelnuts, which represents the number of almonds in the bag. Well, remember, we've got 6x plus 13, okay? And it says a bag of mixed nuts contains both of these, almonds and hazelnuts, right? And there are this many nuts in this particular bag, and this many nuts of these are hazelnuts. So if we're trying to find out what are going to be the almonds, we're going to be subtracting this from the entire bag, right? So this is going to be 6x plus 13 minus 3x minus 7. Looks to me like A is going to be our answer. Okay? It would not be this one because remember we're subtracting this from this to get the almonds. Next, let's go with let's see. Oh, and for those that thought C might be the answer because it's a -3x as well, remember this says -7. Since we're subtracting, that negative sign has to be applied to both of these. So this would be a -3x and a negative times a negative is a +7. So this would be incorrect. Letter B says there are blank almonds in the bag. Well, let's see how many almonds there are in this bag. We know that this is going to be a -3x, so 6x minus 3x is going to be 3x. And 13 plus 7 is going to be 20. So I would say there is 3x plus 20. All right, let's go on. Next, we see that simplify each expression. If we simplify these, we know this is going to be a negative times a negative, which is a +7, negative times a positive, which is a -6x. So this would be 10x minus 6x, which would be 4x, and 4x plus 7 would be my answer. B says 12y minus negative 4 minus 8y. Well, this is a negative times a negative is a positive, so this can be a positive 4. And a negative times a negative is a positive again, so this will be a positive 8y. So 12y plus 8y will give us 20y, and 20y plus 4 will be our answer. Next, I've got C. It says 14z minus 3 minus 6 minus 5z. Remember, this negative is multiplied to everything inside here. So this is a negative 6. So negative 3 and negative 6 make negative 9. And this will give us a positive, a negative times a negative is a positive 5z. So 14z plus 5z will give us 19z. 19z minus 9 looks like our answer. D says we've got this negative sign that we have to apply over here. A negative times a negative is a positive, so this would be a positive 9p. Well, negative 9p and positive 9p, well, that makes no p's. Think about it. 9 people, negative 9 people, plus 9 people make no people. And next we have a negative times a positive, that's a negative 3. So 7 minus 3 will give us 4. Our answer should be 4. Number 5 says subtract this expression from this expression. Use the commutative properties. And that means I'm allowed to go ahead and take the things that are alike and put them together. Since I'm subtracting this from this, that means it's this minus this. Okay? So all these numbers are going to become negative numbers. All right? Well, there's a negative sign in front of here, I should say. This is going to be a negative 7.8. So let's see, we've got negative 7.8 and 2.8. That's going to give us a negative 5. Then we have a negative times a negative. This would be a positive 5.1t. Added to this one, let's see, 5.1 minus 3.2. I believe it's going to give us 1.9t. So I think it's going to be 1.9t minus 5. Let's see, 1.9t minus 5. Yes. Or it could be minus 5 plus 1.9t. It's the same thing. I could say I have a pencil and a pen, or I could say I have a pen and a pencil, and I'm saying the same thing. All right, number 6 says we've got Tim simplified the difference 1.5p minus 1/4 p. Minus the multiplying negative to 1.4p minus 4 as 3/4 p minus 4. He simplified the difference of this as this. Did he find the correct difference? Remember, he simplified the difference, which means he took this and applied it to here. This would be negative 1/4 p. And they have the same variable, so I have to combine them. But remember, the only way I can add or subtract things is with the same denominator. So I'm going to have to multiply 1/2 by 2/2, so my denominator will be 4. And this will make this 2p minus, 2/4p minus 1/4p. That's going to give us 1/4p. And then this negative, so as you can see right here, we're already dealing with something incorrect because this is 3/4. And what we're looking at is 2/4 minus, this is not going to be the right answer. And negative times a negative is a positive, so this should be a positive 4. So no, we didn't do it right. The difference should be 1/4 p plus 4. All right, we're up to subtract the expressions. We're going to subtract this expression from this one. We're going to take all these numbers and turn it to the opposite. So let's see, we got 4b here, a negative 4b here, so minus and times a positive is a negative. So this is going to be negative 4b minus 4b, and that's going to give us negative 8b. Then we have 15. Here's our other number, negative 6. So this is going to be 15 minus 6, which would be positive 9. And then we have negative 7k, and we have negative times a negative is a positive. So it's going to be a positive 2k, and negative 7 plus 2 will be negative 5k. So our answer is going to be 8b minus 5k plus 9. All right, let's go ahead and work number 8. I'm going to work it a little different this time using my pen. For those that didn't understand this, look, we're just taking this negative sign and applying it to everything here. And that means this is going to be negative 5 over 8q, right? We're turning it to the opposite. A negative times a negative is positive, so it's going to be a positive 11. And then a negative times a positive is a negative, so it's going to be a negative 2j. And now we're taking all of this and putting it under all this, but we're rearranging everything to match. This is a negative 2j, so this would be negative 2j underneath the 7j. Then this is going to be 1/8 q. This is 5/8 q. But it's a negative. So remember, it's the big number minus the small number to keep the sign of the big number. Big number happens to be negative, so this would be a negative 4 over 8, right? Because 5 minus 1 is 4, and our denominator is the same, so we're allowed to subtract. That's going to be negative 4 over 8, which could be, remember, 4 over 8 can be turned to 1/2. So this would be negative either 4 over 8 or 1/2, whichever the book's going to have, and that would be q. And then this is going to be a positive 11, right? And I have to apologize. I did a little boo-boo here. I jumped the gun over here, and I'm going to erase it and try to rectify this. Let's see here. I did the math for this one, negative 2, negative 1/2 q, and I shouldn't have done that yet. So that would be over here, negative 1/2 q. Over here should have been the minus 5q, minus 5 over 8q, excuse me. And then over here should be the positive 11. Well, that's negative and negative make a positive 11. So now this will equal this. 7j minus 2j is 5j. And then we've got 3 plus 11, that's 14, so it'll be plus 14. So our answer should look something like that. Now let's just check it out. Look at that, 5j minus 4 over 8. Remember, I said that you could take 4 over 8 and turn it into 1/2 q. So this is really the same number, right? They just did not go ahead and simplify 4 over 8. And then plus 14, plus 14. This is the same exact answer. All right, let's go to number 9 to finish this off. Higher order thinking. Make a conjecture about what happens when expressions are subtracted in their opposite order. What happens when the results are added? Support your conjecture with an example in which several of the signs are negative. Well, in this, they use the example, the coefficient of the difference are opposite, okay? The coefficients of the differences are opposite. The sum of the two opposite expressions is 0. Now remember, it says make a conjecture about what happens when expressions are subtracted in the opposite order. The opposite order, okay? So here's an example. Let's say we've got 5x minus 15, and then we were subtracting 2x plus 5. Well, what we're going to do here is we realize it's going to be a negative 2x, so that turns to 5x minus 2x, and that makes 3x. And then we've got negative 15, and negative times a positive, that's negative, so that's going to be a negative 5. Negative 15 and negative 5 are going to make negative 20. You see how that worked? Now, let's go ahead and look at these in the opposite order. Remember, they said what happens when expressions are subtracted in the opposite order. This time we're going to put the 2x plus 5, and we're going to subtract the negative, or we're going to subtract the 5x minus 15. So we put them in the opposite order. But when we do this, do we notice that the answer we get, right, the 3x is now negative 3x, and the negative 20 is now positive 20. Why is that? Because now the first numbers all got the opposite sign given to them. This is negative 5x, this is positive 20, and that's going to go ahead and change everything to the opposite side, basically their inverse. So let's see. And then the last part here, it says support your conjecture with an example in which several of the signs are negative. Well, this one we have 3x minus 20 plus negative 3x plus 20, right? And that equals 0. Okay? So in this example, we see that the opposites are going to be added together, right? The 3x minus 20, when we combine it with the negative 3x plus 20, will give us a 0. Okay? What happens when the results are added? When we get the results of this answer and combine them together, we see that they are the inverse of each other, and the inverses will equal 0. All right, that is it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and we will see you on the remediation lesson if you didn't. Okay? And I think this is going to be the last lesson of the school year. Lucky for you all. Looking forward to seeing you all in 8th grade. Have a great one.